Hello, everyone. Welcome to our stream conversation with my dear friend Lynne Twist. I will say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is joining us. I know we have women all over the world coming to listen to this conversation. My name is Bea Benkova. I'm the founder of the Global Institute for Evolutionary Women, and I'm so delighted to be here having the conversation about what I consider one of the most important conversations of our lives, making difference with my dear friend, and I'm very thankful to say also mentor, Lynne Twist. Lynne, I know it's very early where you are. How are you this morning?
I'm fine this morning. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to have this conversation with you, Bea.
Yeah, and as everyone that's watching here knows, we're going to have a fabulous conversation. We're going to talk about Lynne's new book. I would just say, I think, long-awaited book, because I think you haven't had a book coming after Soul of Money for a while. So I'm just going to show everyone the cover. And the title is, like that, Living a Committed Life, Finding Freedom, Fulfillment in a Purpose Larger Than Yourself. So we're going to have a conversation with Lynne for 10 minutes about this topic. If you have questions, you can be asking them under this live stream and we'll answer them. If you really like this conversation, we already have a comment. I can't wait to read this book. That's great. I think since you started sharing, Lynne, that you wrote this book, everyone's like, when is the book? When is the book? The good news is for everyone, you can already go and buy the book. And we will encourage everyone to go and buy the book because for me, in my opinion, it's really like a textbook for women change makers and evolution women around the world. And there are not that many in the world of transformation and women and the Sophia century. And also, if you resonate with conversation with me and Liz, you can join us on our global summit in 2 weeks, 22nd and 23 of October. The title is Authentic Power, Celebrating and Evolving Feminine Power to Leave Your Mark on the Planet. And Lynne has been so kind to accept our invitation to speak at the ceremony that we're running now for the Global Evolutionary Women Awards. And I think having a title, Living a Committed Life, you can't have a better fit. So thank you, Lynne. Thank you for being here with me. I wanted to ask you a question that was immediately present for me. And maybe that's at the beginning of everyone's mind. Living a committed life, that's not like a typical sales title to attract a lot of readers to buy the book. And I know when you were asking us about the topic, is the one I chose, but I wasn't really sure whether you would go ahead with it. But I think there is a deep reason why you chose this topic, why you want this message to be sent out, and why exactly now. So why did you choose the title?
It's interesting. The title of the book is really the title of the way I think that many people are now living, like you, for example, myself, for another example, and then people that I most admire, who I write about in the book. Many people who are famous, people who maybe their names don't ring a bell and they're not famous, is that they have a purpose larger than their own life. And that's what I mean by that. And it seems to me at this special and really epic time in history that those of us who are willing to step up and live a purpose larger than our own life starring us are people who are engaged in the world, who are people that know that we're in an evolutionary leap, are people who feel the calling to contribute, to make a difference with their life. They're the kind of people who take your courses, Bea. They're the kind of people who admire and listen to you. They're the kind of people that hopefully are listening to this right now, because I think we all have a role to play. I think if you're born at this time in history, and you are, if you're listening right now, you're not just born randomly. I can't prove this, but this is my theory, or at least my offering. I think you're born now because you have a contribution to make. You have a role to play. It may not be a big role. It may not be a small role. It's just your role. And if you find it and play it, your life will have meaning and you'll make the contribution you're here to make. So we're living at a time where it's kind of all hands on deck. There's so many challenges, so many crises in every sector of the way we live in every institution, in every country, in every economic class. And I think the crises are happening for us rather than to us, to force us in a way to step up, to live larger, to be more committed to the long-term future of life, to really play our rightful role in a very important historic time in history. And that not only is a calling, but it's also a gift, because in playing that kind of role, you find in your own heart a kind of freedom to express yourself. You find in your own heart a kind of fulfillment that everybody's looking for. So it's a match for the moment, and it's a match for who we are. And that's why I wrote the book, and that's why it's called Living a Committed Life, because I'm inviting everybody to step up and live a life of a commitment larger than their own desires, larger than their own concerns, larger than, our everyday challenges, but really realize we're here at an epic time in history and we have a role to play.
Yeah. Do you really think I know you have experienced your life being a committed life for a long time and, working with Nobel Prize winners and many leading, evolutionaries on the planet. Do you think when you live a committed life, you really find freedom and fulfillment? Is that your experience and experience from talking and knowing so many people around the world who live a commitment? Isn't it heavy?
Well, it's challenging, but if we aren't challenged, then how do we grow? It is sometimes confronting. It's sometimes even scary. But at the same time, it's living with such vitality, such aliveness. And I really feel that there's a freedom in that. And it sounds strange that you would pick a commitment and then be freed by it. But actually, when you think about it, when you try to keep all your options open, you sort of live laterally. You're trying to should I do this or should I do that? I don't want to get stuck with this, so I don't want to do that. And it's when you actually commit that you are then able to freely express yourself. It unleashes you. It gives you a sense of full self-expression. And that's a sense of freedom. It's the opposite of what we think. So for me, there's a huge freedom, and it takes courage, and it takes guts, and it takes a kind of resolve. But at the same time, that's how we grow. Steel is not tempered in the sunshine; it's tempered in the heat of the furnace. Our strength, our character, our integrity, our capacity to be really a great human being comes through challenges, through stepping out, stepping up, through being bold, through being audacious. That's when you feel truly alive. And that gives you a kind of freedom to be who you really are. So when I say freedom, that's what I mean. Not keeping your options open, but actually choosing life and choosing it fully.
Yeah, I so resonate. I know when I step into my stand, it's like the committee takes over. There is something bigger than me that guides me. It is courageous. It is scary, but in my experience, I also never felt more alive. There was no more stake, and the level of aliveness and the freedom, you can't really find it unless you're really in that place. So,
Mhm.
yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Lynne, what do you think is the role of evolutionary women, right? Women in the Sophia century now living a committed life, and how is that fueling, they're making a difference, and why is that important right now on the planet? Why now?
Well, I feel that we're living, as you say, in the Sophia century. And I want to just step back and say, if you think long term, you realize that we're in the first century of the third millennium. So that's a powerful way to look at where we are now. You and I are having this conversation on the 22nd year of this century. So we're only 22 years into the first century of the third millennium. And in many ways, this century will determine the next 1,000 years. And it's my contention, my assertion, my belief, and my commitment that this is the century when women we'll take our rightful role in co-equal partnership with men, and the world will come into balance. It's my assertion that this is the century when the feminine, not only from women, but also from men, the divine feminine is coming through to have us address the problems that we face in new and different ways, address them from the heart rather than from the mind. It's my assertion that people like you are evolutionary leaders and the people who sign up for your courses, and that we are in an evolutionary leap and we need evolutionary leadership. And that I think will most powerfully come from women, because we know how to give birth. We know how to bring things into existence. We have a kind of uncommon stamina that comes from motherhood, that comes from the capacity to be of service and take care of other people. We have a strength, we have a resolve, we have a stamina, we have a courage that the universe is calling on right now. And I think it's our time to shine. And men too. But the qualities of the divine feminine, which is what the word Sophia means, are what really are, I think, being called for in the world we're living in right now.
Yes. Yeah, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. We have a few comments here from Lucia from Brussels. It's so exciting to hear there is another amazing creation coming from Lynne. Thank you. So, yeah, Lucy, get the book, everyone else, and come to the summit. I think you already registered because you're one of our leaders. And Lucy also commented the paradox of choosing one and fully that gives freedom and excitement. And I know, there are a lot of women who are now stepping up into our greatness and owning who we truly are. Lynne, I can't resist and read a quote from your book that I got from the publishers just as a pre-read. I'm very thankful, which really left me, impacted. It says, being alive today means being in the presence of the greatest challenge humanity has ever faced, the long-term future of life. This is all hands on deck, a calling to transform the way we live and regenerate our human systems so that all life on Earth can not only survive, but flourish.
Mm.
What a powerful wake up, isn't it? all hands on deck, all of our hands on deck. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Everyone who is listening to this stream and our conversation, thank you. I'm going to post a link to the summit. Please do come. And also we're going to be sharing where you can buy Lynne's book already. There is the book. You can get it on Amazon, on different publishers, depending on where you are. So we'll put the links here below, and come and join us for the summit. If you have any questions that you would like to ask Lynne and you would like her, to consider answering, then please write the questions here. We're going to be collecting the questions, and then I will interview also a part of Lynne's speech at the summit and the awards with your questions. So I think this is an amazing opportunity to think about this topic, think about what you're up for, what's important for you, what are you committed to, how do you create your stand or find your calling, whatever is present for you. And it will have the amazing opportunity for Lynne to share with us and guide us further. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you at the summit.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you. Bye.